Hello, I am Aifel of Lorelin, and let's talk more about Maestro and how to make songs for Lord of the Rings Online. So, the different instruments that you can choose from inside Maestro and inside Lotto, they have different attributes. With this little uh, tool here, I can transpose the track up and down, and that means that it goes higher and lower in pitch, one octave up or down for each time I click. And an octave is the doubling of the frequency of the sound. So if I play this song and I transpose it one octave down, you can hear it's deeper and lower frequencies in the melody. So different instruments have a different span of octaves. Each instrument can play three octaves and one note, one seminote after that. And if you look closely at the track here, it's divided vertically into 5 sections, and the three middle sections is represented by the three octaves that the part you have applied on it can play. So the clarinet will play this fine because even though I transposed it one octave down, all the notes are still within the three middle octaves. If I transpose it one more down, some of the notes get red, and that means they are outside the range of what this instrument can play. So of course the same goes for when we go up. I will come to what happens and how to alleviate these things, but let's look at the different instruments. And we have here on the left, we have the frequency from 32 to 2000 hertz, and then we have a piano, which in this case has 6 octaves, and each octave is a doubling of the frequency. So there's 12 seminotes in each octave, and the theorbo has the deepest sound of all the instruments in Lotto, and that spans the three octaves from 1 to 3. And these numbers are not arbitrary. Those are the music numbers from music theory about what the different octaves are called. So you can see the harps, lutes, bassoons, and horns play a little higher than the theorbo, and then the fiddles and bagpipes, clarinet even higher, and the flute and pipgorn highest. The cowbells only play one note, and the drum plays sounds more than pure notes, so it's not a chromatic instrument. So I have just written those down outside here. So this is important in Maestro, and Maestro helps you to understand this by when you choose another. For example, if I make a new part and I choose theorbo, you will see already now that as soon as I chose theorbo, all the tracks were shifted upwards, and that's because the theorbo plays only octave 1 to 3. And so if I choose this part for theorbo, the notes are gonna go in red. So if you make this song as this, Lotto will play it, but all the red notes that are above what it can play will get transposed one or more octaves down uh, till the till they reach the area they can play. So actually what you're really gonna make is this. And then what you see as red now is gonna be there. The notes that was red before is gonna be there, and the rest of the notes are gonna be here. So that's of course not gonna sound so good, but sometimes you can get away with that. So, but of course, this shifting up and down tells you about the instrument. So if we put it at 0, which is what the MIDI composer, the pitches the MIDI composer wants for this track, Seobo simply cannot play it. And maybe if we take a harp, it can play most of it. And if we take a clarinet, it can play all of it without transposing it in any way. So of course you can use this for many things. For example, you can change how the song sounds, and often it's a very handy tool. For example, if I now have two clarinets in the song and they play roughly around in the same area frequency wise, and they sound the same, of course, so therefore it might get a little muddy. So in this case I might want to transpose this track one octave down, so they are to give a little room for each other, so your ears better can differentiate them, and the sound of the song might sound a little bit more crisp. So there's many more things you can do with frequency and pitch in Maestro, but I will get to that in later videos. Let me end off with some advice. When we are talking the melody of a song, try not to do this, because that can really sound really bad, especially if you know the melody and your ears will go, what was that? When some note, you are supposed to go up to a note in pitch, and then you instead go down. You want to play an A3, and then it plays or A4, and then it plays an A3, and the numbers are for the octaves. It's of course still an A, but it's gonna sound different when it jumps down instead of jumping up, especially in the melody. So usually, and that's my subjective opinion, it's if you have to choose between a bad thing with red notes at the bottom or red notes at the top, it's usually more audible that it doesn't sound so good when it's at the top. So I normally make sure the top sounds good, and then sometimes I might let them dip under at the bottom. So these octaves again that have these numbers. So when we in future videos, when I talk about the instruments, I will talk about the lower, the middle, and the upper octave for each instrument instead of the numbers. And in the ABC notation, they will be numbered from 2 to 4 or 5 with the last note. So this will be 2, and this will be 3, and this will be 4, and this will also be 2, 3, 4, even though it's completely different frequencies. And so to not confuse this, we'll just talk about the lower, the middle, and the upper octave of an instrument. And then just have in the back of our head that they are not necessarily in the same octave range. So you have any questions about this, then leave some comments in the video. And this was it for this video.